Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about another paper 2, and the variant is 22, and the year is 2022, and it's going to be a winter paper, October November. Okay, so the diagram shows part of the periodic table and answer the following questions using only the symbols. Okay, सिर्फ symbols draw करने हैं. Of the elements in the diagram. Give the symbol of the element that is a catalyst in a Haber process. You should know that iron is used as a Haber process. Iron is Fe. Iron is used in Haber process. You should know that. Which is used to make food containers because of its resistance to corrosion. Okay, aluminium is often used in tins, in cans, right? Because it has a protective layer of aluminium oxide, which is anti-corrosive. So you will write Al here. Uh, which of the following is about 1% by volume of dry air? 1%. It has to be a noble gas. It's argon. Okay, has to be argon because all the other gases are diatomic, and obviously in periodic table everything is monoatomic the way it is written. And you should also know that 1% जो है वो सिर्फ आपकी 21% is oxygen and then 78% is nitrogen, so 1% is argon. You should know the percentage as well. They can ask you this, that how what is the percentage of argon in atmosphere. What is extracted from hematite? From hematite we extract iron, so you will have to write Fe again. Okay, which of the following forms an iron with a charge -2? -2 means it will have to belong to group 6 because group 6 elements gain 2 electrons. So it has to be oxygen, O. So you will write O here. Question number 2 says that this question is about halogens and halogen compounds. Draw a dot and cross diagram of chlorine. So chlorine is Cl2 because all halogens are diatomic. So Cl mounted on another Cl. Chlorine belongs to group 7, so both of them will share 1 electron, while the remaining 6 electrons will remain in the valence shell unbonded. Okay, so chlorine has basically 3 lone pairs, 6 electrons and 3 lone pairs, unbonded electrons. State one use of chlorine. Chlorine is used to disinfect, to kill bacteria, in water treatment. To kill bacteria. Be clear in your writing, okay? To kill bacteria where? In water treatment. But first you can say that to kill bacteria in water, that's enough as well. Aqueous chlorine reacts with potassium bromide. State the color of Br2. So what's the color of Br2? You should know that the color is orange brown. The color is orange brown. Explain using ideas about the reactivity of halogens why aqueous bromine does not react with potassium chloride. Because bromine is less reactive than chlorine. You should know that fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, their reactivity decrease down the group. So fluorine can displace all of these three. Chlorine can only displace bromine and iodine. Bromine can displace only iodine. And iodine can displace only astatine, the one below it. Okay. So as you go down, reactivity decreases. So bromine will not be able to displace chlorine because it is less reactive. So you'll have to write that chlorine is more reactive than bromine, or you can say bromine is less reactive than chlorine. So chlorine is more reactive than bromine. The next is bromine is a liquid at room temperature. Describe the arrangement and separation of the particles in a liquid. The separation thing is new. You should know separation. Either you have to write touching, or you'll have to write not touching. You have to write touching, that the molecules are touching or not touching, or far apart. You can also say that they are far apart. How separate are they basically? Well, that's what they are trying to ask you. What is the arrangement of particles in a liquid? Arrangement, you should know that arrangement is irregular. Arrangement is irregular. And separation, the molecules are close together. Right? The molecules are close together. So, and in terms of touching, if you have to say, you will say that some molecules are touching. Some molecules are touching. while in liquids, all molecules are touching. The better word would be some particles. Some particles are touching. Okay. In the D part, chlorofluorocarbons are atmospheric pollutants which deplete the ozone layer. Describe one problem caused by depletion of ozone layer. One problem. Okay, first, you have to explain the importance of ozone layer. Ozone layer blocks the ultraviolet radiations. Not exactly block, you will say it will reduces the uh, amount of it reduces the amount of UV radiations reaching Earth. And what is the problem associated with it? Like if UV radiations reach Earth, then what is the problem with it? Uh, UV radiations have a very harmful impact on our skin. So one of the leading issues with UV radiations is that they can cause skin cancer. They can cause skin cancer. Give the general formula of alkanes. This you should know. It's CnH2n plus 2. Name this alkane. There are 4 carbon atoms. So it's but, and it's an alkane. So you will call it butane. Draw structure of a different isomer of this alkane. You should know this. You have to move this carbon to this carbon. You cannot move it here or here. So hydrogens आपको लगाएंगे. You'll have to put your hydrogens yourself. Okay, I'm just mentioning the bonds. Just put the hydrogens over here. In the C part, separation by fractional distillation depends on a physical property of the fractions. Fractional distillation depends on the boiling point. The physical property is boiling point. Naphtha is one fraction separated from crude oil. State the main use of naphtha fraction. Naphtha fraction is used in making chemicals. अक्सर ये भी लिखा होता है, it is used as a feedstock. You should know what feed is. Feed is anything that is fed into an industry to make something. For example, larger chain alkanes are cracked to form smaller alkane molecules. Explain the importance of cracking large alkanes into smaller alkanes. Large alkanes are present in greater amounts in crude oil, and they are actually required in smaller amounts. I mean, most of the things that we use in our daily life, like gasoline or kerosene oil or gas like methane, they all are small chain hydrocarbons. They all are smaller chain alkanes. So basically, we crack larger alkanes which are less desirable to form smaller alkanes which are more desirable. To explain the importance, you can simply write that uh, they are cracked, or you can say that smaller alkanes are more desirable than larger alkanes. Kindly ignore the noise, guys, because I'm again recording in school. Uh, State 2 conditions needed for cracking. One is high temperature. And the second one is catalyst. You can simply write catalyst. You don't have to write the name of the catalyst. You can also say high pressure here. Okay, now you need to calculate the empirical formula. You have carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine. You have carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine. Carbon's atomic mass is given percentage is 37.8, hydrogen's is 6.3, and chlorine is 55.9. So divide them by their atomic masses first, 1 and 35.5. And the answers would be 3.15, 6.30, and 1.57. Of the smallest value here, you have to divide the smallest value, which is 1.57, with all of them. 1.57, 1.57, 1.57. Because this is approximately 2, this is approximately uh, 4, and this is 1. So the empirical formula would be C2H4Cl. Okay, so this question is about ammonium sulfate. Ammonium sulfate is a fertilizer. Explain why farmers put fertilizers on soil when crops are grown. Obviously, they are added to improve the yield of crops or to add nutrients, to improve plant growth, whatever finds your fancy, you can write it here. Explain why farmers do not add calcium hydroxide to the soil immediately after adding ammonium sulfate. The thing is that you should need to know that ammonium salts are actually fertilizers. And here you have to recall the reactions that we did in bases, in which we know that ammonium salts react with, we should know that ammonium salts like ammonium chloride or ammonium sulfates, ammonium salts react with uh, alkalis. Ammonium salts react with alkalis to form salt, water, and ammonia. Most importantly, ammonia. So, calcium hydroxide is not immediately added. Why? Because ammonium salt is also there, and if you add calcium hydroxide to it, this reaction would happen, and ammonia would be released, which will cause a loss in mass of nitrogen. Nitrogen content would be decreased in the soil, and the whole point of adding ammonium sulfate was actually to introduce nitrogen into the soil because it is one of the major nutrients that plants need. So, what will you write here? You will write that ammonia is produced. We do not add because ammonia is produced, or better word would be ammonia is released, which reduces nitrogen content, which reduces nitrogen content of the soil. Nitrogen content of soil. Now you need to calculate the percentage bias of nitrogen in ammonium sulfate. This is ammonium sulfate. Calculate the MR first. MR would be of nitrogen is 14 plus 4 to 2 plus sulfur is 32. The atomic mass of oxygen 16 multiplied by 464. So it would be 132. And to calculate the percentage mass of nitrogen, you will have to put the mass of nitrogen in the numerator. There are two nitrogens, so you'll have to take the mass of two nitrogen atoms, which would be 28 divided by 132 multiplied by 100, and the answer will be 21.212%. So he's asking you to give your answer to three significant figures. 212, answer would be 21.2. Third significant figure is 2, so we'll have to include it, 21.2. Complete the equation for the reaction of ammonium sulfate with sodium hydroxide. So when ammonium salts react with alkalis, salt and water, and ammonia is formed. So how would salt be formed? Metal will hit the negative ion of the acid. Now in this case, negative ion is not, acid is not there, but you can still hit the negative ion, which is sulfate. So Na will react with SO4. Na has a +1 charge. SO4 has a -2 charge. So Na2SO4 will be formed. These powers will multiply. So Na2SO4 will be formed along with water and ammonia. So we'll have to balance this. So two nitrogens on the left, two nitrogens on the right is 6 and 2 hydrogens. And yes, I think it's now balanced. Yes, it is. Yep. Okay, the ammonium sulfate decomposes when heated. The reaction is endothermic. Since it's endothermic, so reactants would have lesser energy than products. So reactants would absorb energy and convert into products. So what are the reactants? Label those. NH4, 2SO4 is the reactant, and the products are, there are a lot of products. There's NH3, and then there is SO2, NH3, then there is SO2, then N2, and 6H2O. You can say that these are products, and this is the reactant. Activation energy would be, from the reactant energy to the highest point would be called activation energy, EA, and enthalpy would be positive. So from the reactant energy level to product energy level, that would be your delta H, which would be positive. Okay, so zinc reacts with aqueous copper ions. Explain why this reaction involves both oxidation and reduction. Now, zinc and copper, since they're free elements always have a zero charge. So, zinc is moving from 0 to +2, which means it has lost 2 electrons. And loss of electrons is, if you don't remember, you can remember it like this: oil rig. Oxidation is loss of electrons. So, zinc is losing electrons, so zinc is getting oxidized. So, by this reaction of both oxidation and reduction, oxidation is taking place. Just write the full sentence, okay? Take your time, frame your sentence. Taking place because zinc is losing electrons. Electrons and reduction is taking place. Reduction is taking place because copper is gaining electrons. Because copper ions gain electrons, yeah, is gaining electrons, yeah, are gaining electrons. Okay. Aqueous ammonia is added to zinc ions. Describe the observations when few drops of aqueous ammonia were added. So zinc gave white precipitates with aqueous ammonia. You can say white PPT. This is the only short form that you can use. In whole O levels, only precipitates are allowed to write to be written as PPT. You cannot write MP or BP, but you can write PPT. So when you added excess ammonia, will zinc precipitate dissolve, or they won't dissolve? You need to know this, that in aqueous ammonia, zinc precipitates dissolve. Or you can simply write precipitate dissolve, or you can write PPT dissolves. Okay. C part is molten zinc chloride conducts electricity. So molten zinc chloride means there is zinc ion and chloride ion only. So anode will attract anion. You need to predict the products formed at the anode and cathode. So anode attracts anion, which is chloride ion. So at anode, chlorine will be formed. You won't write chloride ion, you will write chlorine, because chlorine will lose electron to form chloride. They ask you about the products and not what goes to the anode. They're asking you what are the products at anode and cathode. And cathode, zinc ion will not be the product, zinc metal will be the product. Explain in terms of structure and bonding why zinc bromide has a high melting point. Now, zinc chloride has an ionic layer, it's an ionic compound. Okay, so you will write zinc chloride. How do you know it is ionic? Because it is made up of metal and non-metal. Zinc chloride has ionic lattice and strong electrostatic forces of attraction and strong electrostatic forces of attraction between between positive ions and negative ions. Positive and negative ions. Aluminium is extracted from its ore by electrolysis. Suggests why aluminium is extracted by electrolysis, not by reduction with carbon. Aluminium is more reactive than carbon, so it cannot be reduced with carbon. Carbon cannot displace uh, aluminium. So you will write the same, that aluminium is more reactive than carbon. Aluminium is more reactive than carbon. State one property of aluminium which makes it suitable for the construction of aircraft. Aircrafts have to fly, they have to be low intensity, but they have to be still sturdy. So they use aluminium is used because it has low density. So you can write aluminium has low density. Do not write just low density, you write aluminium has low density. State one advantage of recycling metals such as aluminium and copper. Recycling anything actually saves cost, save money, and most importantly conserves minerals, because minerals are in short supply and they're not going to replete, they're only going to deplete. By the way, recycling metals have also been removed from the syllabus as far as O levels are concerned. State the percentage of nitrogen in dry air. Nitrogen is around 78%. So nitrogen is reacting with oxygen to form nitrogen monoxide. Is predict what happens to the position of equilibrium when pressure is increased. So when pressure is increased, equilibrium moves to the side towards less gas moles. Now we'll have to deduce the gas moles on both sides. There are two gas moles here and 1 plus 1, two gas moles here. So there are equal gas moles on both sides. The prediction would be equilibrium will not go anywhere. Equilibrium or you can say position of equilibrium will have no effect. Equilibrium position would not change. Equilibrium position will not be affected, will have no effect. Will have no effect. Now you have to write explanation, because there are equal number of gas moles on both sides. There are equal number of gas moles on both sides. Okay. The table shows the concentration of nitrogen 2 oxide at three different temperatures. So as you are increasing temperature, concentration of nitrogen monoxide is increasing. State what this information shows about the enthalpy change of the forward reaction. Okay. If you're increasing temperature and NO is producing more and more, if you're increasing temperature and NO is moving more and more, it means that reaction is going forward now on increasing temperature. So heat has to be here, because जहाँ पे कोई चीज़ increase होती है उससे दूर जाता है equilibrium. So if equilibrium is moving towards the right, it means that heat is being increased on the left. It means that the reaction is endothermic. So you will write, that would be the enthalpy change would be positive. The reaction is endothermic. You can write that the reaction is endothermic, enthalpy changes endothermic, and explanation would be that there is टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज करें तो ये इंक्रीज हो रहा है, विच मीन्स इक्विलिब्रियम आगे जा रहा है. सो इट इज बिकॉज देयर इज more concentration, there is more concentration of NO being produced with increase in temperature. with increase in temperature. So nitrogen 2 oxide reacts with hydrogen to produce ammonia and water. Construct the equation. So NO reacts with hydrogen to form ammonia and water. Obviously, we'll have to balance it, ammonia and water. So there is one, only hydrogen is unbalanced. Na? There are 3 into 5 hydrogens on the right and 2 hydrogens on the left. So we'll have to make 2 into 5. So we multiply this by 5 over 2, which is in decimals, which is 2.5, but you cannot write 2.5, you'll have to write 5 by 2. So this equation will be balanced. State one source of nitrogen oxides in the atmosphere. Nitrogen oxides are basically produced by a lightning activity. Lightning activity. Because air has both nitrogen and oxygen. If air is exposed to a high temperature, there is a high chance that nitrogen and oxygen can react. So, can be lightning activity. You can also say that car exhaust. Car exhaust is like it is a more primary source of nitrogen oxide. Nitrogen oxide contributes to acid rain. State one effect of acid rain on buildings. It erodes buildings. It causes chemical erosion of buildings. It causes chemical erosion of buildings. State the formula of the ion that is present in all the acids. Hydrogen ion is present in all the acids. You cannot write hydrogen as in, okay? You'll have to write the formula of the ion as he asked. Okay, so this question is about carboxylic acid. The structure of an organic compound is shown. Reduce the molecular formula of this compound. So there are how many carbons? There are 4 carbons, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hydrogens. In an organic formula, carbon is written first, and then hydrogen, and then oxygen. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 5 oxygens. Now, propanoic acid reacts with methanol to form an ester. Name this ester. Draw the structure of this ester showing all the atoms and bonds. Name this ester. So, methanol. So, this I have done this reaction before as well in the last paper. Let's do it again. Reacting with CH3OH. You will need to write this reaction because you have to reach the structure of ester, and it's easier if you write the molecular formula first. So OH comes from here and H comes from here to form water. So this OH is gone and this H is gone, and this will attach on the acid side, oxygen side first. CO, oxygen pehle aayega and then CH3. So this is called methyl. You should know that CH3 is methyl, C2H5 is ethyl, C3H7 is propyl. You should know that. And C4H9 is butyl. And this is methyl. So write methyl. You have to name the alcohol part first. And these are 3 carbon atoms wala carboxylic acid, which is propanoic acid, and hydrogen removed from propanoic acid it will turn it into propanoate. So name would be methyl propanoate. Structure of ester, there are 2 carbons, and then there another carbon which is attached to 2 oxygens, and then you have CH3. So you will write the hydrogens again yourselves. Okay, I've attached the bond, just write hydrogen at the end of them. Okay, so the simplified structures of dicarboxylic acids and dicarboxylic acid monomer and diamine monomer are shown. Basically, this is what is used to make nylon and amide linkages. Draw partial structure of the condensation polymer that is formed. Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. So, anyway, this OH and this H will react to form water. So I'm just writing this connection first. C double bond O and N and H. I just wrote this portion right now. Okay, and then the box at the back is the shaded one, and the box on the right is not shaded one. Now you have to write the partial structure. You have to write 2 repeat units. Okay, it's better to write two repeat units, and you have to show two amide linkages. When you write partial structures, make sure that you show at least two linkages. Okay, so on the other side there's C double bond O, and then you have OH. Obviously, this OH will be attached to something, the adjacent amine group. This OH will be attached to the adjacent amine group. Like there will be an adjacent amine going on. Na? So this H and this OH will be reacting. So I have just added the continuation bond here, that this chain will go on. And on this side, NH will be connected to another C double bond O, right? They have to write two repeat units. So this is one repeat unit, NH tak. Okay, on the right hand side, this NH will also be connected to another carboxylic acid group. So this H, one of the H's of NH2 will attach to the OH of the next carboxylic acid to form water, and you will have the same linkage. Like if you have the carboxylic acid, so that's this OH and this H will react to form water, and this will connect here like I did it here. So basically you have to simply repeat the whole linkage from here. You have to write two repeat units. So shaded box, then you have C double bond O and NH, and another box, and then NH, and the continuity bond will continue. There you go. State the meaning of the term condensation in condensation polymerization. Condensation means you are eliminating a molecule. Okay, you are joining two compounds and eliminating a molecule. That's what condensation means. Condensation means joining of two compounds and elimination of a molecule like water. Elimination of a molecule, elimination of a small molecule like water. Small. Proteins have amide linkages. Proteins are hydrolyzed. Hydrolysis polymers की खत्म हो चुकी है. It's not included in the O-level syllabus anymore. Anyway, we'll do this. Proteins are hydrolyzed to make amino acids. Amino acids are polymerized to make proteins. Proteins are hydrolyzed to make amino acids. Draw a label diagram and describe with the aid of label diagram the structure and bonding in metals. We did this question in the last paper. So just draw very close circles first. 4 key layer, then you can draw 3 key layer, and then you can again draw 4 key layer. Not let them overlap, and these little dots are actually electrons. Okay, just label it that these are delocalized electrons. Delocalized electrons, and these are positive ions. How would you define a metallic bond? Metallic bond would be electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attraction between positive ion, between positive ions and delocalized electrons. Delocalized electrons. Okay, put the four metals in the order of increasing reactivity, which means the least reactive would have to name the least reactive one first. The least reactive one would be who's reacting slowly with steam, which is nickel. Nickel is reacting very slow with steam. And the most reactive would be which would be reacting very fast with cold water, and that is rubidium. Now you are left with zinc and cerium. So cerium is showing a reaction with cold water, but zinc is not, which means the cerium is more reactive than zinc. So you'll have to write zinc first and cerium after zinc, because it's you have to write in the order of increasing reactivity. Reduce the number of electrons and neutrons in this ion. So there are 58 protons, 58 electrons, and 3 are lost. So there are 55 electrons, and neutrons are 140 minus 58. That would be 82. Construct the ionic equation including state symbols for this reaction. The reaction is that zinc. Where should I do it? Let's do it. Let me. Okay. So zinc reacts with silver nitrate to produce zinc nitrate, and silver. So nitrates are all obviously soluble, so they are aqueous. So you'll split them into their ions. These nitrates will cancel each other out, but the silver ion will remain, and on the other side, zinc ion will remain, and you write Ag here. So you also have to write state symbol. Yes. So zinc is a solid. Ions are all aqueous. The zinc is also aqueous, and this will be solid. Okay, state the term used to describe salts such as NiCl2 which contain no water of crystallization. The salts which contain water of crystallization are accompanied by the word hydrated, like hydrated copper sulfate, and salts which do not have any water, we use the term anhydrous. Okay, anhydrous is used to define is used to write with salts which do not have water of crystallization. Describe how to change yellow nickel chloride back into green nickel chloride. It's a reversible reaction, so you'll have to shift it back. You have to green. Okay, so green nickel chloride has water and yellow nickel chloride does not have water. So you'll simply have to add water. If you add water, this yellow nickel chloride will turn back into green nickel chloride. Okay, Ji. So you have a question. Magnesium carbonate reacts with HCl to form magnesium chloride and carbon dioxide and water. You are given the volume of HCl that's added to magnesium carbonate. Okay. The first step is to calculate the volume, calculate the moles of the with the given information. You have the moles of HCl, and you know the volume of carbon dioxide. So what you can do is you cannot do anything with HCl, but you cannot do can do something with volume of carbon dioxide, because we know that moles is equal to volume over 24. So volume will be equal to moles multiplied by 24. So volume is 120. That is in centimeter cube, mind you, and 24 is in decimeter cube. So you will have to align the units. You will have to multiply this 24 with 1000. It will be 24,000. To convert 24 dm cube to centimeter cube. So answer would be 5 into 10 to the raised power. Volume will be equal to moles in a second. We need to calculate moles, right? What am I doing? We need to calculate the moles. So we didn't need to manipulate the formula. The volume was given as 120 divided by 24,000, and the answer would be 5 into 10 to the raised power minus 3 moles आ गए carbon dioxide के. So you need to calculate the concentration of hydrochloric acid. For that you need moles of hydrochloric acid. So just compare. You have moles of CO2, you need to calculate moles of HCl. When there is 1 mole of CO2, there are 2 moles of HCl. So whatever are the moles of CO2, HCl mole will be twice of that. So moles of HCl would be 2 multiplied by 5 into 10 to the raised power minus 3. That would be 1 into 10 to the raised power minus 2. We need to calculate the concentration. So the concentration formula is N is equal to C into V. So C will be equal to N divided by V. Number of moles we have is 1 into 10 to the raised power minus 2 divided by volume is 25, but you need concentration in dm cube, so divide this 25 by 1000. Okay, whenever you do these kind of questions now, you have to do this in one step. It is going to be much more accurate if you do it in one step. Like use this function in your calculator, okay, and write the numerator here, and then when you go to the denominator, press this button again, and you will find something like this, and then plug in the whole fraction again, and just press is equal to, and he'll round off and give you a very accurate value. If you do it separately, then there's a high chance that you may mess it up in terms of value. So the concentration is 0.4. Okay, Explain your answer using ideas of collisions between particles. पूछ क्या रहा है? The reaction is repeated at a higher temperature. Describe how the rate of reaction changes. So you would say that rate increases with increasing temperature. Obviously, why? Because because kinetic energy of molecules increase. Do not write Ke, write kinetic energy, because kinetic energy of molecules increase, leading to more effective collisions. Okay, the reaction is repeated using a higher concentration of hydrochloric acid. Now, he has increased the concentration. Describe how the rate changes. So, it's a 2-mark question. First, you'll have to write what happens with the rate. So, rate increases because number of particles increase. Because number of particles increase, leading to more successful collisions. Please be very mindful of the fact that you'll have to explain your answer here. Okay, whenever there is a rate of reaction question, you'll have to mention. You have to talk about effective collisions. Always you have to talk about effective collisions when he's asking about rate in the explanation. There's a high chance that he won't even give you one mark for this. If you just write rate increases, there's a high chance that it would not give you 1 mark for this. Okay, state the meaning of the term alloy. Acha, alloy is not a mixture of metals. Please be very careful. Alloy is a mixture of a metal with another element. Okay, it's a mixture of metal with another element. Okay. Okay, the last part of this whole paper is that copper is purified by electrolysis using an impure copper anode and a pure copper cathode. Construct the ionic equation for the reaction taking place at cathode. At cathode, there is pure copper. Basically, electrons are being gained there. So copper ions go to the cathode and they gain 2 electrons, and copper metal is deposited. A metal object can be electroplated with another metal. State one use of electroplating. We actually electroplate with another metal. For example, we galvanize with zinc. For example, we electroplate zinc on iron. Why? To make it anti-corrosive. So let's do that. One use of electroplating to make a metal object resistant to corrosion. Resistant to corrosion. Okay, ji? So that was our paper. See you in the next video. I hope this gives you a good understanding about how we go about things while doing paper 2 type questions. So give me your feedback in the comment section. Sorry. Okay then. Allah Hafiz.